Okay.
Okay. Hello everyone, I am Siddhant Shashikumar from ITM Khargar and I am currently pursuing MBA in marketing. I am doing a 15-day NGO internship from Dorai Foundation. So today we'll be interviewing Ms. Smita Sadasivan, who is a self-advocate for cross-disability rights in India. And Ms. Smita Sadasivan has been working for the development and empowerment of persons with all disabilities at the national level for the past 16 years. She is a member of the Disability Rights Alliance in India. She has worked for the adoption of disability inclusive electoral practices in India, including the implementation of Colombo Declaration, a document which is signed by the members of the Forum for Election Management Bodies of South Asia, which is known as FEMBOSA, in 2015. Apart from being the accessibility consultant for the Election Commission of India, she carries out different roles, including that of the regional trainer for South Asian Women's Institution on Leadership and Disability, known as the WILD program, and Mobility International USA. And she's a member of the Civil Society Engagement Mechanism of UHC 2030. He is also a member of the National Committee for the Rights of Persons with Disability, known as the NCRPD, which is facilitated by NCPE-TP in New Delhi. She is a member of Indian Forum for Rehabilitation for All. She also works with a project on independent living of persons with disability, which is known as Bliss, which begin to live interdependently with support systems at Vidyasagar, Chennai. So, and she is Miss Smita Sadasivan has done her Master of Philosophy in Psychology, and she has multiple sclerosis and is a member of working committee at Multiple Sclerosis Society of India. Glad to have connected with you, ma'am.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity and hello everyone.
Okay, so how are you doing today, ma'am?
I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. It's a bit
Happy New
cloudy.
Year to all of you.
Happy New Year to you, ma'am.
Happy New Year, ma'am.
Thank you.
Where are you from, ma'am?
I'm from Chennai.
Okay. I used to stay there as well when I was a year old in Kodambakkam in Chennai, and currently I'm residing in Mumbai, and I've been here since 2004. So yes,
Okay.
it's a nice.
I'm actually staying in Koturpuram, where Vidyasagar is. So I'm not staying in Vidyasagar. I'm staying at home. I live with my parents, but I stay close to Vidyasagar because you know commuting even to work for a longer duration um, is creates a lot of fatigue in me. So I just shifted close by to Vidyasagar so that I don't get tired during travel.
Okay. Yes, sir. Ma'am. So, could you tell us something about your early years of life?
Mm, yeah, I was just an ordinary child, like going through normal schooling and college. And during college, I'm always interested in doing adventurous things or some interesting stuff. And I was part of the college union when I was in college, and I was also taking part in different competitions like essay writing or oratorical competition and etc. I was doing karate in college. So that's how life was always busy even during college and after college. And during my college days, I got multiple sclerosis. I was diagnosed with MS, and then I had to discontinue my studies. For about 3 years, I had to literally struggle with this condition, and nobody knew. Even doctors didn't have much awareness about multiple sclerosis, and in the community, absolutely no awareness. Um, so we had to literally venture out different possibilities. And then I came across Multiple Sclerosis Society of India, which is a community for persons with multiple sclerosis, and they provide support for the well-being and also medication, physiotherapy and other welfare measures being catered by multiple sclerosis. From then onwards, I am a member of Multiple Sclerosis Society of India, Chennai chapter, and I also came to Vidyasagar. It was my professor, Mrs. Kanti, who introduced me to Vidyasagar. Her child was studying in Vidyasagar, and from 2003, when I came to Vidyasagar, then I got employed here, and I was working in the disability legislation unit of Vidyasagar, where we worked on advocacy. We advocated for the rights of persons with disabilities. We looked into legal aspects, as well as we did a lot of sensitization programs for people with disabilities in the community, and organized different training programs for the community. And we were also working with the government on different aspects, whether it is education for persons with disabilities, or employment, accessibility, legal aid, and yes, sensitization. We also sensitize the government officials and multiple stakeholders on the rights of persons with disabilities. And we also were a significant part of the working group or the disability groups that worked on the formulation of the new law, the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016. We were also working on elections from 2009 onwards through Disability Rights Alliance, where Vidyasagar is a member. And it is a collective of like-minded persons with disabilities and organizations working for persons with disabilities, as well as experts who are passionate about accessibility and disability inclusion.
Ma'am, you participated in the South Asia Regional Disability Rights Dialogue in 2015, which resulted in the adoption of a series of commitments by the FEMBOSA called the Colombo Declaration. Why do you think it is important to have a regional commitment to the disability inclusive elections?
It is very significant to have a regional commitment, because it gives a platform for the disability groups to gather together and also evolve universal strategies. And it also gives a platform for the election management bodies across the region to become more aware of the issues faced by persons with disabilities in the electoral process, as well as various strategies and about their own commitment towards inclusive elections. Then it is also helping citizens groups to become more aware about the commitment of the election management bodies, and it also helps them to take the commitment, the document, back to their countries, build a rapport with their own election management bodies, and work with them in collaboration, and get the commitment implemented at the ground level.
Okay. So what role has your organization played in this work?
We had taken the document, the Colombo Declaration, and since I met the commissioner, the election commissioner, at the FEMBOSA conference, I created a rapport, and then we were in touch, and we came up as an organization. We came up with a strategy on the action plan that can be promoted by the Election Commission of India, and we worked both at the state level as well as the national level. We worked with the Chief Electoral Officer of Tamil Nadu, as well as the Election Commission of India, and at periodic intervals we kept meeting them and had dialogues where they consented to look into the strategies, and they also came up with different directions.
So, ma'am, what advice would you give to other disabled people's organization in the region to hold their election management bodies accountable to the Colombo Declaration?
Okay, so going into that, um, so I would literally suggest to do what we did, like gather the documents and the any resolutions at the international level, and convert it in at the local level, because they know their country better, and come up with their own strategies, and create a rapport with their election management bodies, have periodic dialogues, help them to understand the issue, and help them work out the strategy, collaborate with them, and they can actually get things done in a better way. They can also take the strategy document. Election Commission of India have come up with a very elaborate and comprehensive document on strategic framework for accessible elections, which they all can adopt. Election Commission of India have also come up with different other directives, like to put up ramps in the polling booths, or coming up with braille electronic voting machines, or braille candidate sheets for voters with visual impairment, having signages and help desk at the polling booths, having wheelchairs and volunteers at the polling booth, providing free transport for voters with disabilities, providing sensitization for these volunteers or polling officials, and recently they have come up with the postal ballot for persons with disabilities, and they are also looking at inclusive electoral literacy clubs, and they have deputed access observers as part of the election observers stream, and they have also come up with different committees at the national, state, and district level, so that the work at the local level can be monitored and streamlined. And apart from that, Election Commission of India conducts consultations with persons with disabilities at the national level and the state level, and is also coming up with state coordinators to be empaneled at the state level. And election icons with disabilities are being designated at district and state level, and also at the national level. So various directions have been issued by the Election Commission of India, and ECI is also looking at 100% implementation of all these directives, and so all these documents can be taken by the disability groups in the region, and can be worked it out with their respective election management bodies.
Okay. So could you elaborate something on the project which you have been doing on Vidyasagar? Yeah, in Vidyasagar, that Bliss project.
Mm-hmm. So there is this question among parents of adults with disabilities: who will take care of my child after me? So it's been for many years that the disability sector has been finding out different answers, and it's been different answers. There can't be one answer. So one of the answer was by the government. It was the National Trust, where there are a lot of different welfare measures, or safety measures have been promoted through the National Trust for people with especially 4 disabilities, severe disabilities, that is cerebral palsy, mental retardation, multiple disabilities, and autism. So for further to that question, to find out the answer to that question, we have been looking at the legal aspects, and a trust is usually a legal answer for a person with very severe disability, a person with high support needs. And so we kind of worked with, we are working with Advocate Roma Bhagat on creating a trust deed for a person with a disability based on his or her preferences on how he wants to live his life and how he is living it currently, so that it is not it does not end up in institutionalizing the person, whereas the person can live independently in his or her own house, in their community, with all the support systems intact, and also can execute his or her preferences.
Okay. Ma'am, Shivam, would you like to add some questions to this?
Ma'am, should we go about some ice-breaking questions like we have
Sure,
already discussed?
definitely.
Uh, uh, it's spite of these things that you are carrying out. It is actually nice. I would like to know more about your personal life, like what all activities you do at home, like what things you do, like hobbies and other things.
Um, right, yeah. Earlier, I was, listening to music, reading a lot of books, and doing a lot of meditation and doing bit of yoga and all that. But right now, I don't get much time. I am confined to work mostly, but still, yes, I like enjoy my work, and in work also it is different aspects. It's not just monotonous same thing from morning to evening. So it's different aspects, working with different organizations, different groups. Though the focus area is disability, though the main subject is disability, it is different aspects of disability, like independent living, or elections, or um, uh, what to say, rehabilitation, health. So different things. And so apart from that, I do physiotherapy on a regular basis, and that gives me a bit of relaxation, as well as makes me energetic. And yeah, I think that's it.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Earlier you mentioned that you did karate when you were young. So which belt were you when you stopped?
Yeah, I went till purple 1, and after which I got multiple sclerosis. Then I had to discontinue everything. I was completely bedridden at that time. So slowly, I was not able to walk, and not able to brush, and then I was not even able to move my fingers. Then my bladder bowel failed, and there was no sensation across the body, even when doctors pricked me with the pin and all that. And then even it was also affecting my consciousness slowly. It was only at that point of time that doctors figured out that it is kind of a demyelination, and so I had to be injected steroids. And then we thought that I will be all right soon. Doctors gave me about 3 months time where I can become better. But then after 4 or 5 months, I was not becoming so better, but I again had an attack, had a relapse. Then I had more frequent relapses in the next 3 years. And so I was diagnosed as having multiple sclerosis. And I also had painful cramps and different things. Went to different hospitals, and finally figured out that multiple sclerosis is a condition with which we have to live our life, and there is only maintenance and no cure. And it was really tough to accept it for me as well as my parents. But yeah, we managed it with the help of Multiple Sclerosis Society of India. And then, yeah, life moves on.
So that's it from my side. So thank you so much for giving us your precious time and connecting with us, ma'am. And,
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your time.
Thank you very much for this beautiful chat. It's lovely to always talk with youngsters.
glad to have connected with you, ma'am.
Okay.
Welcome.
I will take this opportunity to thank you. You already know me, but then I have to say,
Yes.
for the purpose of the video. I'm Sautanya Prasad, and I, as a representative of the Ray Foundation, thank you so much for being part of today's interview. It is an absolute honor for us to have you on board. I mean, just reading out your introduction, I think people would have already been like, oh my God. And having you tell us about everything is very informative is just one aspect of it. I think it's also very motivational. As you described, you have a condition that is something that you have to live with. But to see somebody who's become such a fantabulous person, somebody who's so inspiring, somebody who's creating change in society, not just in her society, but across. And that's very motivational and
Yeah.
inspiring for everybody. I think we have a lot to learn from you. Not just
Thanks
the
for that. Thanks for that. Actually, yeah, I have learned an important lesson from my life, which is that disability can happen to anyone. I was so healthy, and I never thought that I would have some condition like this in my life when I was in such a pink of my health, and I was so active during my college days. And so this is a message that I would like to go give to everyone, that disability can happen to anyone and at any point of time. So let us make the society inclusive and accessible for everyone, so that it will help ourselves. And in case if you get something, some condition or some disability, then don't lose hope. We have support structures in the society, like I had multiple sclerosis society and Vidyasagar. So there are umpteen support systems, and everybody are using support systems. It is not only persons with disabilities. For example, a school is a support system, a post office or a police station, everything, transport system, everything is a support system. Similarly, there is an extra extent of support that is required by persons with disabilities, which is also available in the society. So don't lose hope, and we can all take support, and of course we can also give it back.
Definitely, ma'am. That's one of the reasons why we're creating this catalog. As you can see, we are recording this interview. We're recording this interview and other interviews to create a catalog to spread awareness and create sensitization, and also for these interviews to be motivation. As we had a previous interview, we had an interview yesterday with a special parent, and he is the vice president of Parivar, and sir told us about how there exists, like you rightly said, there exists support system, and the stronger we create the support system, the stronger we are in our ability to cope with anything that life throws to us. There is a lot of background foundation, all of this, that a lot of people like you have worked really hard to create. I think we are very thankful for that as well. The work that you've done towards creating inclusion in the in the aspect of voting, in the aspect of accessibility, in providing support. As you said, question for a lot of parents is what is going to happen to my children. So that's a question for the future, to create a good right now and create a fantastic future for us and everybody that we are involved with. I think it's very important for all of us to know. So with this recording, we will go on social media, we will create this catalog, so everybody knows that there are people out there. There are people who are not just motivational and inspirational stories, but also hope that we're working towards a better future. So thank you so much for being part of this interview, ma'am. We are absolutely honored. I have heard this before from you, but hearing this again is inspiring me all over again. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being with us today. I
Thank
think our
you for the
students,
opportunity, and it's lovely talking to you all.
yeah, our students have learned a lot. I think for a lot of them, this is also their first exposure to hear about disability as such, and all the work that goes into it. Sometimes because it comes easy to us, I think Siddhant and Shivam might never have thought that the simple act of going to vote might be difficult for somebody else.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
I
It is
think
a totally different perspective that we have never thought of it. Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you for providing this. This is what we try to achieve with our social connect programs. We try to sensitize the youth and make everybody know that one person's problem is everybody's problem. When we all take one person's problem as everybody's problem, we all work towards making a better future. And that's what we need. So thank you, ma'am. Thank you for being with
Welcome.
us today.
Welcome.
Ma'am,
Wish
we
you all
have
the
a
best.
certificate for you from the Foundation of a certificate of appreciation that you were part of our interview. We are,
Yes,
as I said, we are very happy and honored to have you. So we have a certificate for you.
yes,
Um,
yes.
do
Just
we
Wonderful.
can we
Thank you
have
so
it?
much.
this is the certificate.
Ma'am, that's the certificate for you. Our students will be sending you a soft copy of it. Thank you for being part of our program. Just 1 minute, if you can stay and maybe put your hat a little down, we will take a screenshot.
Siddhant, can you take the screenshot?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Done.
Okay.
Ma'am, we'll
Lovely.
make sure to send this to you on via email. And once our catalog is ready, we will share the link with you.
Sure, definitely.
Yes.
Thank you very much for the beautiful
Thank you, ma'am.
certificate.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for
Welcome.
everything. Have a great day.
Welcome. Wish you all the best. Have a great day, you all. Bye.
Have a great day, ma'am.
Bye.
Okay, so
Yes, ma'am.
can we stop recording now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.